lights are really blinding. Hi, my name is Peter Perez. I am Anna Perez's son, class of '79. Where do I begin? From the stories of Sal, from the stories of Coach Grosso, the football team, my mom, and playing tennis, having a giant mohawk, 3 feet tall, for some spirit pep rally, I believe it was. TPing the trees around the school. That's my role model. There's been a lot of ups and downs throughout our lives. Mainly downs, but everything keeps up. There was an accident with my grandmother and mother. Ended up in a nursing home. Now she's at, you can see in your brochures, a place called Schwamp Ridge. It's a care facility down in the Redlands, Homestead. I also have an uncle, Uncle Jimmy. He has cerebral palsy. And all this made my mom grow really mature real fast and grow up before most people can. Tell you what, I believe it's really hard to have to deal with all that she has to deal with right now, especially supporting me, working as hard as she has, put me through college, to really pep me up, keep me in school, keep my head right. Also, for her to take care of them while she's doing all this, coming home, working late nights at home, dealing with everything. I understand why she does all this. I now see the positive output this has put on me. Because of her, I've grown to be very responsible about what my beliefs are and what I am to do in life in general. There's been many fun times with going to work with her. She used to work for an airport company called Southern Air Transport. The fact that, as we were just talking at the table, when I was a kid, they even made office the nursery while my mother was pregnant with me, just so I could be there with her and she could take care of me. Many other stories. I remember she used to work for a company named Freed International that used to take care of all these lights that are blinding me in the eyes right now. Now she works for DHL, the shipping company. She's been working there for 10 years. And I believe she's in the happiest place she's at right now in her life. I know that coming to the school made her a great person. The people here taught her so many things besides her family and what she was dealing with. One of the main ones, Coach Grosso. Her stories about going to the football games and cheering everybody up, keeping the teams going. That means a lot to me. And I'd like to conclude this by introducing my mom to the stage, Anna Perez.
recording. Take pictures, I'm recording.
Wow. All right, so one of the things that I dwelled with was, okay, this is a real surprise. This is a big wow. When Freddie called me and he said that I had been nominated and inducted, am I going to be, first of all, in Miami? Because I'm all over the place nowadays. You don't know where you find me, if it's in Germany or Central America or wherever. The next thing was, what did I do to deserve this? And the more I dwelled about what did I do to deserve this, it's not about what I did, it's about what was done to me, is what was done for me. Yes, I love my son, and if it wasn't for the foundation of where we were raised in, whether it was our families or the influences that we have had along the way, we wouldn't be where we are today. We wouldn't be able to overcome the challenges and a lot of the issues that life brings to us. It's great to hear the success stories, and yes, I'm very proud to be able to say that I have succeeded in my career. But if it wasn't because of my family, if it wasn't because of my mother, if it wasn't because of my father, if it wasn't because of their conviction to put me in through the Catholic schooling and put me in LaSalle, I wouldn't be where I am today, being able to take care of my son, being able to take care of my mother, being able to take care of my brother. And I don't see it as a job, I see it as a blessing. Things and events, just to give you a little background, my father was from an Irish-Scottish background, very Catholic himself, originally from New York. His name was James Morris. My mother was born in El Salvador from Italian parents, and they both met in Miami Springs working in the aviation industry back in the late 1940s. Got married in 1958. My brother was born in 1959 with cerebral palsy. And shortly after, I'll give away my age because you already know it since I'm class of 79, I was born in 1960. So I'm the young little girl. I went to Academy of the Assumption over on Brickell Avenue and 15th Road for quite a long time. Then when the school closed down, I went to the Assumption in Philadelphia. Again, sticking to a very Catholic upbringing. After going to the Assumption, it closed down in 10th grade and I had to come back home. So I come back home. My mother, my father, my brother were still here because he was a student for a Hope Center for the Mentally Handicapped, part of the United Cerebral Palsy Group. And I came to LaSalle. While I was here in LaSalle, it was a shocking, I guess what to say, a culture awakening for me. Because here I was from a very mixed culture, Salvador, Irish, Scottish, Italian. And then I come to Miami and I get to see where all my Spanish influences come from. And in LaSalle, you had this blend of culture that it was okay. And you would leave LaSalle and you had conflicts. And we overcame those conflicts. You heard about issues in other schools where the Hispanics and the Americans weren't getting along. We didn't see that here. There was that culture where we were all one. We were all one big happy family. I took that into heart, and I took that into heart in my lifestyle. I took that into heart in dealing with people, in my career, and so on and so forth. So you'll read in the brochure pretty much on my career, but one of the things that I took pride on my career, and I'll get into some more private things in a moment, is always being part of an organization that I'm going to say I don't necessarily like the give back. You have to give back to society. You have to do something for society because it has a connotation of conditioning, unselfishness. we've all been instilled that sense of responsibility, having been raised as Catholics, having been raised with how Jesus walked, okay? And there is that sense of social responsibility. And I took pride in working with organizations that had that impact in people. When I worked at Southern Air Transport, it was during the era where we worked with the Sudan relief programs, where we worked with the United Nations feeding the hungry in Africa, in Ethiopia, and different countries. We found funding, and that was my job. Find the funding, and we'll get the merchandise, and we'll ship it out. Went through Desert Storm, Desert Shield. It wasn't just the fact that we were flying airplanes, it was look at all those soldiers that were out there, what can we do with them? We were able to organize shoebox for soldiers, send little care packages for all those men and women that were out there fighting for our liberties. Work with different organizations, and I take pride of working for DHL now for over 10 years. It's a company that, their slogans are respect and results, but they also say, you got to think with the brain, you got to work with your gut, and you got to put your heart into it. And those are things that, we do a lot of things for UNICEF and many different organizations. But taking it back to where some of the points that my son was saying, what put me in this position where I am able to, as a single parent, be able to fulfill all these obligations and take it that one extra step and continue to take it that way. If it wasn't for doing something as maybe ironic as participating with Coach Grosso in his football practice and keeping notes as to who was performing at its best, and taking all his stats and telling him who was clocking a little bit faster, who was making him more endurance. We would argue about how Kenny Lambert was the best guy, how Tony Labra was the best guy. And man, our class really put out a lot of incredible people. So in accepting this award, I accept it with a lot of pride, a lot of honor, but I accept it also for the class of '79. We put out a lot of incredible people. We had the Kenny Lamberts that ended up at Citrix, incredible profession. He recently retired. Tony Labra working at PeopleSoft. We've got Philip Mudd working for the FBI and the CIA. We've got incredible teachers. My dear, dear friend Juan Verona, who unfortunately could not be here with us tonight. He was studying to be an English teacher and ended up teaching kids with disabilities for the last 30 years. It's impressive how he can get a letter 30 years later from a student and tell him what an impact he had. And the reason why he was able to have that impact was because of the foundations of where he came from. So, I recognize what an honor it is for me to be with an elite group of successful people, and the impact and the footprint that we've made in our community and society and in our families and in our lives. But I will challenge you as well. Next time you see a soldier out there having dinner, tell them thank you. When you see an elderly person, just give them a smile. When you see a handicapped child, give them another smile. They don't get those too often. And that's what we were built with. We were built with that heart.